Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Kerbal Space Program with me, Alfapiomega. Unfortunately, the sound for this episode is recorded as an after-action recording because while I was recording this episode and then editing the sound, the Ukrainian workers that are redoing the flat next to mine probably hit the wall with a shovel or something, and they completely knocked out the electricity for the entire level of my building. So it shut down and corrupted the sound file that I had recorded. However, I'm gonna try to explain what's happening on the screen as good as I can do it. Today we are going to do the flyby of the Mun. I'm just showing at the screen what we have to do. We have to do the flyby, we have to gather scientific data from the Mun, and we have to return to Kerbin from a flyby of the Mun. The reason why I'm doing this right now is that there is actually no other suitable missions that I could do. There's actually a couple that I could do, but none that I would really want to do. And as I'm showing you right now, I gathered enough science to unlock the second tier, or the third tier of the technology in Kerbal Space Program. So we got 6 unlocks now, the first, second, and third tier. The missions that I have now would mostly take me to the North Pole, where I would have to do some scientific data gathering. I would have to gather a lot of data from the North, and you know, these missions, I've done a ton of them, but they are actually kind of boring for me now because they're just grindy, and I could do all of these with the exception of the North Pole, where I would have to land every single time. The other ones I have to do are mostly just scientific survey in a certain altitude above or below. And I've done a ton of these, and there isn't much to do for me left on Kerbin, so the flyby seems like the best possible choice. As you can see, we've gathered all the scientific data from Curve or Kerbin. Curve is actually a nicer thing, but Kerbin, as you can see, we have all the EVA reports. We've landed on almost all surfaces except, and I have to say this again, the Tundra and the Badlands, which I still don't know where they are. So if anyone knows, please let me know, because I would like to gather some science from them too. They would hold something. We also have in space low and in space high above Kerbin all gathered. The missions that I did took me there as well. So yeah, if we want to advance in the scientific tree, Mun is the where we have to go. So we'll have to go to the Mun. So I activated the mission to explore the Mun, and we will go there. We will go there right now with a ship that I designed, and I'm going to show you now. It is another one of those that really hit the peak of what we can do here. It has maximum amount of parts. It has the maximum tonnage. You know, it's pretty much everything that we can do. Oh, it doesn't have the maximum tonnage, but it has the maximum amount of parts we have. We unlocked the better landing pad, so it can now do more. So there's 4 solid fuel boosters that will take us up there. We're actually going to start all of them at once, but 2 of them burn much faster than the other ones do. So we'll burn the 2 first, and we'll jettison them, and then we'll jettison the other 2 as we go. This is because we don't want to gather too much speed in low altitude, because it would generally just weigh us down. So I'm trying to do a little asparagus system. Then we have the middle stage that should get us to orbit, and the upper stage that should get us to the flyby and back. So yeah, you can see here that it is 40 out of 40 parts. It has almost 44 tons out of 140, and the height size, height, width, and length is well within parameters. But again, the parts are maxed. Before we get the better VAB, there's nothing we can do here. So that's what I'm gonna go for next. So yeah, this rocket is actually kind of cool. It has all the scientific instruments we might need to gather some data from the Mun, and now There actually is not much else to do than go there. It's quite far, you know. We'll have to do a manual transition as we do not have any maneuvering availability given by the game itself. So it's gonna be an adventure. An adventure. Hopefully as we will start getting more data from the mon, we will eventually get to unlocking the basic science, which would give us the science junior and the possibility to get probes and batteries. Batteries are something that we really need because up there we are running out of electricity really fast, which you will see pretty soon. So yeah, I'm just going over some of the other parts, like where, you know, if we would like to get better with the batteries and create a full-sized probe, we would also need to unlock the electrics, which cost 90 science, I think. And those are the first one that would give us photovoltaic panels. So yeah, we got ways to go, people. We got ways to go. Okay, everyone. Now, welcome to the launch pad where our Mon orbiter awaits us. Jebediah is ready, the weather is beautiful, we have clear sky, and everyone here at the KSC is eager to see this. So I'm just checking the position of the moon and Earth because I don't want to forget, and now we can lift off. Last preparations, and there we go. So as you can see, all the initial 4 rockets, or the boosters, are giving us liftoff now. But you can already see that 2 of them are burning faster than the other 2. This is exactly what I was speaking about when we were in the VAB. The proto-asparagus system, or the asparagus system, because you can see that our surface speed is increasing quite rapidly, and if we had all 4 of these boosters at maximum capacity, or even at a decent capacity, they would pretty quickly get us to a speed that is quite dangerous. Yeah, you can see we're already at 180 meters per second, 200 meters per second now. And we're only at 4.5 kilometers. I don't know what the exact velocity at this altitude is. It's slowly increasing. But going faster than 350 should be a problem. Okay, now we jettisoned the first 2 rockets, and we are slowly starting to tilt our rocket. Yeah, we jettisoned the 2 boosters, and we are now slowly tilting our rocket. As you can see, I have the middle stage activated too, because that one gives me the ability to control the vessel. The solid boosters don't have any ability to give you the specific angle on descent, so I use this as a little freebie. Plus, I have it at a reasonable thrust, so it's increasing our speed too. Now we are going to be jettisoning the last 2 boosters now. Our apoapsis is at almost 70 kilometers, so it's pretty good. Oh, I jettisoned them a bit too early. As you can see, they are still flying. But not much fuel was left in them anyway. Okay, I usually go up for about 75 to 80 kilometers. We are going a bit too high right now, but that should be okay. We have a lot of fuel left in the lower, I would say, ascent stage. I'm positioning a rocket right now to start the orbital burn. Now, yeah, this entire lower part will be jettisoned once we use the fuel, and we'll be left with the upper stage only to get to orbit. I think it should be enough to get that, because the upper stage is not very heavy, and you will see that it is exactly as I said. Now we're already at 74 kilometers, as we have about 85 or 83, I think it was, on the apoapsis I'm gonna start the burn at around 80 kilometers. Yeah, 83.326. We need to be very careful with our fuel, as you will see that it's not always about the amount of fuel, but the way how you use it. So it's slowly increasing. We're burning now at a maximum velocity, but still we have a ton of extra weight, so it's not doing us all that good. Now, one downside to this rocket is, as we are maxed on parts, we were not able to recover any of the ones that we jettison, and we will not be able to recover the one that we're burning right now too. That is kind of sad because we're wasting a lot of money, but what can you do? Okay, now the lower stage has been jettisoned, and the upper stage, as you can see, is burning way faster. And there you go. Well, we're not at a stable orbit, but we will be there very soon. 70. Man, it's kind of hard doing an after-action recording. I know why I'm not doing that very often. Because it's hard, man. You have to comment on something that you're not actually thinking, but you did before, so you know the situation. But it's a bit different looking at it right now. So I'm turning the reaction wheels off on pilot only, because as you can see we have 299 electricity out of 300. That's actually quite a lot, and we're gonna get additional one as we burn, but you have to be careful with the electricity, as if it runs out, your Kerbal is dead, because the air filters will stop working and we will be gone. So now the correct way how to get to moon, if you're doing it manually, is start burning right when it goes above horizon. I don't know the exact math. I always try to have my rocket in between Kerbin and the Mun, but you will see that if we do it like this, we will get an intersect. So now the apoapsis is at 1.5 million. We have to burn way more. But it's gonna go much faster now. It starts slow, but then it goes up really fast. So usually, that's my experience, that around 2.5 million, 12.5 million, sorry. 12.5 million is a good height to go for when you want to intersect Mun. Anything lower than that, and you might actually hit it, because, you know, if you don't use the maneuvers, it's always a bit tricky to see how it works. You have the Mun going for you, you have the Kerbin, you have the speed. There's so many things that can go wrong, and, you know, hitting Mun at this point is pretty much the worst thing that could happen to us. So I'm speeding things up so that we, you know, go a bit faster, because this is quite far away. You can see that our Kerbal has been out there for over 5.5 hours, and yeah, we got a nice flyby of the Mun with 274,000 meters per apsis. Time to check the scientific instruments. We got the temperature scan, which will give us 1.6 science. It's way more than we ever got from around Kerbin. We're high above Mun. And the same with the atmospheric pressure scan. And we're gonna do the goose next, and then the crew report. Wow, this is how you gather science. I always take both of the goo canisters with me, because it's better for your rocket to have it stable. But here we only can do one, because we really didn't have any spare parts. I don't even have an antenna on. Now the crew report gives us 1 extra science. If we had an antenna, I could have just sent it out. But yeah, I upgraded the astronaut complex, so now we can do the EVA, as you can see. It's awesome. We can go around, but it doesn't only give us the thing that I wanted, which is EVA, but it also allows us to collect the data or remove the data from the modules. Now I'm doing that with the goo canister, and I'm gonna put it in the module for a specific reason. When you re-entry, I put it in the annotations on the previous episodes as well. Sometimes when you re-enter too fast and you lose a bit of control over your module, the goo pod has a very low threshold for temperature. If it gets just scratched a bit, and you can see that it's sticking out a bit over the command module, it will burn and get destroyed during the re-entry. Now that's not only bad because you lose some money, but it's also bad because you lose the science. So I took the science from the goo canister and put it back in the module so that in case we lose the goo canister, we don't lose the progress. So with the monument to look over Mun, it's so much detailed. I played Kerbal Space Program way back in the time, and it's so detailed. I don't even have Kerbal Space Program on Steam. I have it on their webpage. It's so ironic. Okay, and here Kerbin has caught us. But you can see that there's a huge problem here. We have an apoapsis and a periapsis. We're not gonna hit Kerbin. I don't have enough time, food, oxygen, or anything to do an entire orbit. So we'll just have to risk it and go for a massive burn right now. Retro burn, trying to slow down our ship and hoping that we will get caught by the atmosphere, which we will. You can see that we have a I don't know if it's an apoapsis or a periapsis. I think it was a periapsis of 15 kilometers now. Now we can put the reaction wheels back to pilot only to save a bit of electricity, and we can go back home. Bye bye, Mun. It was nice flying by you. Now all we have to do is land, which is one of the hardest part on doing a space mission. Every single part on our module has a specific threshold for temperature, and we're coming in really hot, guys. We have a orbital speed of 2000 meters per second, and we're speeding up. So I did a last little burn that took our periapsis down. Yeah, it's the periapsis, I thought so. It's the fastest point of our orbit. So now we have to orient ourselves. I don't have the reaction wheels activated, the SAS, so I have to turn back on to normal. And we have to orient ourselves carefully so that nothing else but the ablator or the heat shield gets into contact with the atmosphere, because you will see that we are speeding up. Yeah, we're at almost, we're over 3,000, wow, we're over 3,179 meters now. Look at that, how the module is actually, yeah, there you go. We have lost the goo canister, and other parts are overheating too, so I'm trying to position ourselves in a way that will not allow whatever it is that's overheating to explode. The ablator is heating too. We're slowing down very fast. Yeah, I'm trying to wiggle it out so that nothing else gets destroyed. But yeah, now it's okay because the speed has lowered down to 2000 meters per second, which is very good for the ablator. But you can see we lost 25 out of 200, so that's over. Oh, that's actually over 10%. Yeah, it's nearly 15% of the ablator has been lost during the ascent. I really think we came in quite hot, and I'm happy that we put the data from the goo canister inside because, well, you saw it yourself, it exploded immediately. But here we have some additional rewards. World first milestones. The recent accomplishment of our space program attracted contributions, so we got another 15,000 from that, which puts us to 92,000. We finished the flyby. Any cost, and that would be paperwork. Okay, that's another 20,000. So yeah, it's a pretty decent and very good mission. We're gonna get a lot of science, a lot of money from this. and it's gonna put us to places. Okay, I'm gonna deploy to shoot very soon, I think. There's one tricky thing on this. If you're falling, there's a point where you actually start speeding up, and it might be detrimental to deploy the parachutes later on. I don't think this really works with just the module, but it happened to me once when I had a rocket. I actually started speeding up very close to the ground, and I had to fire the rocket, and thank God I had some extra fuel. I didn't notice that before that can happen, because I was at something like 250 meters per second, and then suddenly I climbed to 300, so I couldn't deploy the parachute. Yeah, and you can see the electric charge is at 149 out of 300, and that's even though we recharged it, because the SAS actually takes a lot of electricity and we have no batteries, so we really need those to advance in our space program. And there we go, Jeb. Welcome home. You made it back to Kerbal. So let's recover the vessel and see what there is to see. Yep, we're at 165,912 Kerbal bucks, and we gathered quite a lot of signs. We're almost at 14 now. That is awesome. What an advancement. We should do this more often. 13 signs, and 10 of that almost was gathered now. Funds 165,000, I already said that. And yeah, we have finished the mission. So now there are some other missions that I will do, like test Mark 55 or a whole Mark 12 or other the Terrier engine up. All of these will give me a little advances, but really the next step that we have to do now is upgrading the VAB. There's nothing else that we can do. We just have to get the VAB upgraded. Because the 30 parts, as you could see, is the maximum that I can do, and that is just about enough to get us to the flyby of the Mun and then back. There is nothing else that I can really do. There are no parts that I can dispose of. There are no parts that I can, replicate or anything. If you're wondering what's happening on the screen, I'm just showing some new missions that popped up while we were out. These are pretty good for the data gathering because they're close by and they give good results, and they're not landing, so I kind of like those. But anyway, that was the mission to the Mun. We did a nice flyby and feels good to be back. Yeah, I'm just checking right now. If you upgrade the VAB, I think it's actually pretty bad with design, because the 30 parts is very low. Then it costs 450,000, and then you get to 255 parts, which you will rarely go over. So yeah, once again, the VAB is what we need, and then we need upgrades in research. Now there's a lot of technologies we could go for, but I really think basic science is the most important one. It gives us the Science Junior, which would be pretty good, and it also gives us batteries. The aviation and control aren't all that necessary for us at this point, though control would definitely be good. I am kind of torn on general construction. I would like the space tape, and I would like the Mark 1 crew cabin, which would allow us to take passengers and other Kerbonauts with us. But again, the Scientific Junior is much important. And then advanced rocketry is really high on the list, because the FLT T400 fuel tank and the little engine that the advanced rocketry gives us would be perfect. Now, of course, electrics, again, is the next big thing. So I really am decided that I'm going to go for basic science, then advanced rocketry, and then electrics, because that's just how we go. You know, survivability gave us all of these little survival modules, which gives us food, oxygen, and stuff like that. This all comes from the TAC Life Support mod, though. We can mount these on our rockets, but without batteries, you know, no matter how much oxygen and food we will put on our shuttles, it won't do as good. So anyway, thank you for joining me for this exciting episode. I'm sorry for a bit lower level of commentary on this one. I had to wing it from the post commentary, so I watched the episodes and tried to come up with things that I was saying at the time. And I do hope that you will join me next time for some more Kerbal Space Program Point 1 Challenge with me, Alfapiomega, and Alfa Industries.